You know, Orson Welles once said, if you want a happy ending, that depends, of course, on where you stop the story. And Virginia didn't let its story stop after last year and losing to the 16th seed and rebounded to put together this season and really validate the excellence they've had over the last several years.
And every time in the last 3 games when things looked grim at the end of the game, Virginia made plays. It looked grim at the end of regulation in this one when they were down 2, and then all of a sudden Ty Jerome drives the baseline. Texas Tech overhelps, and DeAndre Hunter, who was spectacular. He wasn't good. He was spectacular. 27 points, 9 rebounds. That 3 he hit out of the right corner is the biggest reason that Virginia was able to win the game. That was a spectacular shot. It took advantage of one of the very few defensive mistakes that Texas Tech made throughout the game. And they hung in there in grand fashion to have a chance to win at the end. But Virginia made play after play, and then into the overtime, they were great. Didn't miss a free throw. They were outstanding. Just a tremendous game and a great performance by the big 3 of Virginia, Jerome, Guy, and Hunter.
Those points, the 67 points they put together, is their best performance of the season, and do it on the biggest stage.
This wasn't a good game. This was a great game. This was 2 teams literally drawing a line in the sand every possession, and it was hard to get a good shot for a majority of this game. There are 2 plays that are going to haunt Chris Beard. The play at the end of the half when he could give a foul, and all of a sudden Virginia knocks down a 3, and then the play at the end of the game, regulation, where they overhelp on a baseline drive. Let Kyle Guy lay that thing in. But we talk about the big 3. Your X factor, Mamadi Diakite, he was as important in this game as any player. How active he is as he was, his ability to protect the rim, his ability to come up with 50-50 balls. I thought he was terrific.
On the Texas Tech side, JB, I agree with you. That 3 where there's no need to help on Ty Jerome, let him score the layup instead of giving DeAndre Hunter the 3. And also, Seth, you and I, we talk about this almost, it feels weekly in college basketball. Tie ball game, Jarrett Culver has the ball.
Racket.
Why are you settling for a 3? He was 0-5 from the 3-point line. You get the ball to the rim, you create contact, you try to get to a foul. But I will say this was a national championship game college basketball deserved. This was big time. Tony Bennett will not also make a lot of money just from his contract. Whenever he sells the TV rights or the movie rights to this, it will be incredible. It is an incredible story. The fact, watching this team from last year, what are you going to say now? You want me to
What
get
are you
those
2
rights?
guys who want to produce it?
I'm just saying, yes, I would love to. But I'm saying, like, from watching last year to seeing what this team dealt with to watching them in the fashion that they were able to do it. I mean, look, it takes luck to win this thing. But they won this game based upon their principle and the way they fought. And they made plays down the stretch.
And we say all the time, defense wins championships. 2 great defensive teams. But how about the offense in this game? And the offense by Virginia was really good. They're the only team in the country who was in the top 5 in adjusted offensive efficiency and adjusted defensive efficiency. They play on both ends of the floor, and they've got very skilled players that showed off that skill, especially their big 3. I mean, those were big-time performances on the biggest stage in the game. It was really impressive.
You learn a lot about a team when they're facing adversity. Every time Virginia faced adversity in this tournament, they came up and made plays. I mean, it is absolutely incredible. Think about the Auburn game, the 3 Kyle Guy makes in the corner. We're sitting there saying they got to rush it up the court. They were poised, they came down, they got the shot they wanted. Their execution for the 3-point shot, that got fouled on. Think about the back tap. You know, look, it was a fortunate play, but they made the play. Think about today. They were not rushed. Ty Jerome didn't settle. He got it to the basket because they were playing on his side, forced the defense to help and made the right play. Their poise is reflective of Tony Bennett's poise. They reflect their coach. They are 100%. They've got a quiet fire that burns within, but their play and their execution and their poise is a reflection of, you see the dude on the sidelines, he's got his arms folded like, you know, he's watching a scrimmage. It makes me sick.
Calm is contagious. Kyle Guy, 24 points. Obviously, DeAndre Hunter, 27 points. But how about Ty Jerome? 16 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists.
1 turnover.
1 turnover. This dude, I mean, he's one of the toughest players in America.
And they made, what, 11 threes on the game? And I think Texas Tech made 10 threes.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a really good offensive basketball game against good defense. So you had 2 great defenses, and the offense had to raise its level in order to score in this game. And we thought rock fight. This thing is going to be played in the 50s, and I get there was overtime, but I mean to have an 80 game in the 80s and high 70s. Pretty impressive.
You guys think fatigue in the set? I mean, these two teams have guys that have played a lot of minutes. A guy that made a great impact for Virginia was Braxton Key. He played 28 minutes today.
Yeah.
The second half, once those two teams settled in, but there's also some fatigue. I thought that Texas Tech wasn't as alert off the ball, but that had a lot to do with Virginia. Instead of just running mover blocker, when they played on the side of Ty Jerome, you know what he did? He put the defender, no matter who it was, right on his hip. And he's 6'5" and strong and drove him straight line right to the rim and kept him on his hip. That was a great adjustment.
And they played behind the action too on the initial drive. But they were really good. And Kie Clark did a great job in the game defensively on Matt Mooney. I wasn't sure that Clark at his size was going to be able to play a ton of minutes in this game. You thought that Tony Bennett might have to go big. But Clark did a great job on Mooney, who is bigger and longer. And really the only time, the first real bucket I can remember Mooney scoring was when he kind of posted him up in the middle and had that turnaround jumper around the free throw line. Other than that, he didn't really get much until the end of the game.
And Jay, I give you a lot of credit too. You said the one thing Texas Tech can't do before the game started was just settle and taking a lot of shots from the outside. Jared Culver settled a ton today.
Yeah.
He settled a ton today. And it's when he wanted to rack it, he got there.
Going right.
But look,
Going right, but he
always
still got
going
it.
right.
But
look who he's guarded by, man.
DeAndre Hunter is a beast. I'm with you on that.
I mean, he's the defensive player of the year in the ACC, and that's the reason. I mean, he stayed in front, he chested him up, and then he challenged they made him take, whenever he did drive, it was really a tough two. And also it was Diakite coming over from the weak side, and he had to score over two guys.